I got hit with a 90s nostalgia bomb last weekend playing a hilarious new indie game release, Jay and Silent Bob Chronic Blunt Punch. A hand-drawn side-scrolling beat-em-up with a number of flaws, but I was just too deep into the nostalgia and comedy to let it bog me down too much. So snooch to the nooch! Let's start with the good stuff. American indie game developer Intrabang Entertainment, who in 2020 released an 8-bit side-scrolling brawler called Jay and Silent Bob Mall Brawl, partnered with publishers Digital Eclipse and their parent company Atari to release Jay and Silent Bob Chronic Blunt Punch. And they absolutely nailed the aesthetics, the references to Kevin Smith's Askewniverse and pop culture, as well as the story, the dialogue, and the rude, crude humor. Intrabang Entertainment clearly loves and understands Kevin Smith's work to have created this true-to-the-source love letter to Jay and Silent Bob. I can definitely see why Kevin Smith gave his personal blessing to this project. The hand-drawn animation and artwork of the characters, the enemies, bosses, and level designs are all very well done. Everything looks amazing, with a lot of attention to detail. The way Jay and Silent Bob strut around, brawl, and transform into Bluntman and Chronic, the silly and over-the-top ridiculousness of the enemy types and bosses, and the vibrant world it all takes place in is a chef's kiss to the franchise, with the writing of the story and dialogue being right on par. The game starts with Jay and Silent Bob hanging out in front of the Quick Stop. They get a little hungry and go inside, only to see the place is being ransacked by little douchebags on rollerblades. After you beat them down and take their weed, the plot spirals into more and more ridiculousness as you progress level by level. This story takes some absurd left turns that only this dynamic doobie duo can get themselves into, and I absolutely loved it. It always felt authentic to their characters, especially with the game's hilarious and crude dialogue. This game does not hold back. True to form, Jay and Silent Bob, well, mostly Jay, say some hilarious and vulgar things, but not just them. Other characters, enemies, and bosses will have you cracking up with dialogue that feels like it's right out of the movies. Sadly, most of it is just text, which I do get because they're going for a 90s arcade style, so the only voices you'll hear are during combat with some funny one-liners that can get repetitive the further on you get, but the game isn't long enough for it to really get on your nerves, at least for me. And the sheer amount of Askewniverse movie references and Easter eggs help to keep things fresh throughout. From start to finish, you are bombarded with the entirety of Kevin Smith's Askewniverse. From Clerks and Mallrats to Dogma and beyond, this game is loaded with so many nods to these movies that I'm certain I missed a ton. It has been some years since I watched them, but as the game got going, it brought back so many memories. Dogma was an absolute favorite of mine, and when I saw the Buddy Christ Cardinal represented in this game, I was laughing my ass off remembering that scene from the movie. R.I.P. George Carlin. Chronic Blunt Punch is loaded with these references, and as a fan, it is freaking awesome. But if you've never seen them, or you're not a fan, especially of vulgar and crude humor, this game is probably not going to be for you, because after all of the nostalgic visuals, references, and writing, this game doesn't have much else going for it. When it comes to the gameplay, it doesn't take long to notice the flaws. It's not very fluid. Character movements are kind of slow, and button presses can sometimes have a slight delay. It doesn't happen constantly, but it does happen. Some of the combos are pretty cool, and the animations look great, but there's nothing dynamic about the fight mechanics. It's fairly basic. Definitely don't expect Streets of Rage 4. It's just simple and kind of sluggish. I even had issues with the hitboxes here and there. Sometimes my attacks wouldn't connect when they absolutely should have, and other times I'm nowhere near an enemy attack or environmental hazard, but somehow I take damage. The game has super moves and assists that are fun with great looking animations, but executing them can sometimes be rare. Not really so much with the assists, but definitely the super moves. The assists are collected in each level and are all characters from the Askewniverse, like Dante and Randall. You fill up your assist meter by dealing damage. If Jay or Silent Bob goes down, the level of their meter goes back to 0, but once it fills up, you can perform an assist. Pretty standard stuff. The animations are really well done, but typically I only did like 1 or 2 assists per level, if at all. But that was kind of a me problem. Sometimes I would hold on to it for when I would really need it and then never use it, or just use it on the boss. Or I would go down, revive myself, but lost all of my meter progress, which really sucks to have happen because it also brings your super meter back to 0, and filling that one up is sometimes impossible. To fill the super meter, you have to collect purple nugs that enemies drop after you defeat them, and sometimes from breaking objects. Once the meter is full, you can turn Jay or Silent Bob into Blunt Man or Chronic to perform their super moves that deal massive damage. There is a finite number of nugs per level, but you have to be sure to tag in each character often to split up the nugs to fill both meters without wasting any. On the first level, I was able to perform each character's super moves on the boss, but after that, getting just 1 meter filled and saved for the boss was rare. It might just be a skill issue, but if you go down late in the level, it is impossible to fill it back up. I would try to save the supers for the bosses because it felt like the only logical time to use it, but there were times when I had one filled and then lost it shortly before the boss. Thankfully, most of the time I still beat the level without it, but it would have been nice to see it more. I mean, I loved the animation. Maybe playing 2 players would make it easier with having both characters fighting together, but getting a second player for this game may not be easy for most people. The co-op in this game is couch co-op only. There is no option to play online, which for me is fine because I'm not really into online multiplayer, but a lot of gamers today are. I understand that they were trying to keep it old school with 2 hetero life mates playing side by side together, and I respect that, but I think that was a huge mistake for this game. Having online multiplayer with couch co-op also available would have been much better. If you have a die-hard Jay and Silent Bob fan for a friend, and he doesn't really game much, he will get frustrated quickly with the gameplay. And if you have a gamer friend that has never seen the movies or doesn't like them, they're gonna look at you after 1 level and say, "Hey bro, can we just play Shredder's Revenge or something?" To offer online multiplayer would have given people who love the Askewniverse and gaming a chance to play and enjoy this game with another person, but sadly most players probably won't get to do that. To end with something a little positive about this game that I haven't mentioned yet, that I always mention in videos, the music isn't too bad. It seems mixed with people, but I kinda liked it. Composed by experimental pop rock band The Dreaming Insomniacs, with some tracks being composed by Jimmy Urine of electro-punk band Mindless Self-Indulgence, this soundtrack has some pretty catchy songs that I've had pop in my head at times. It's nothing groundbreaking in gaming music or anything, but it definitely gets the job done. If you're not a fan of the View Askewniverse and vulgar humor, then this game will be a disappointment. But if you are a fan, I think this Jay and Silent Bob adventure would be an enjoyable experience for you, despite the flaws, so I say check it out. And check out one of my other reviews like Mouse PI for Hire. Also, like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. I thank you all for watching today. Take care, everybody.